Well, good morning. With a view like that, you could reasonably expect I'm in one place only. I'm back on the Isle of Skye. I'm not actually staying here this week. I'm just over the other side of Loch Alch, staying near Dorney on Loch Long. But the weather today looks better being out west, so the chance of getting good weather in this part of Skye was too good to pass up. Today I am slogging up a hill called Beinn the Crow, which is actually one of the smaller hills you can do around here, certainly one of the smaller ones in the Cuillin, or the Red Hills. Barely 570 metres high, so it's not very big, but it's still a substantial ascent because the car's down there, so you're starting off from sea level. The reason I'm doing this hill rather than anything bigger, not that I need a reason to climb a small hill necessarily, but I just didn't fancy Skye today, and I quite fancied going up Beinn which is the big hill overlooking Broadford, but that is a hell of a one for Skye, which I don't really want. So I fancied something smaller, but I also wanted something that I could just do in a couple of hours, because I'm going to head down the coast to Elgar afterwards and try and coincide it for low tide, so I can go and visit the Spa Cave. Fingers crossed I get the time of the tides right. So I just needed something that was small that I could just do in the morning, and this is perfect. It's a bit of a turnaround in the weather. When I drove down here from Sutherland on Saturday, today is Tuesday, there was 200 millimetres of rain falling in the Highlands over 48 hours. Hideous weather, and so the hills are sodden to say the least. And then Sunday it brightened up, sun came in, and I managed to get up Skye, which is a hill at the end of Loch Long near Kintail. Managed to do that on a Sunday. Monday was a day where you couldn't even step out the door because there was winds in this part of the world gusting to 85 miles an hour last night. During the afternoon, where I was staying, the power was going on and off. It was all a bit hairy really. So yesterday was a no-no. There's more bad weather coming in tomorrow, more wet and windy weather with more severe gales gusting to 70 miles an hour. But today, apparently once all this clears in the morning, it's going to be a blue sky day. So it's one of those yo-yo weeks when the weather is flipping between horrendous and amazing. So you have to rush out and snatch these little weather windows, as I'm always saying, what you can. Although in fact I was so eager to snatch this weather window, I got almost up to here actually. The car is way down there. I got almost that far before I realised I'd not brought my camera with me. And I did think for a second, should I just carry on? No, can't be without a camera. I have to go all the way back. So I'm going to have done the hill plus maybe a sixth of it again on top once I finish. This is actually a very nice, steady ascent. Quite a nice gradient. Certainly not on the level, but it's just keeping a constant angle all the way up rather than being sort of craggy where you're going along flat and then you've got scrambling and flat and scrambling, which is fine and fun, but sometimes it's nice just to switch off, I suppose, and just plod up a 25-30 degree slope, or whatever this one is. It's about 6 or 7 degrees, so it's going to warm up a little bit more. It's actually, the weather's quite reminiscent of when I was on Skye this time last year. I was here for 2 weeks. The weather was atrocious the first week with gales, blizzards, the whole island had a power cut. And then the second week it was 8, 9, 10 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. And this time of year in March, when the sun's getting higher, when the wind drops, even if it's that cool, sort of 7, 8 degrees, it can be very hot. And it's a bit still in this cleft. And it's a bit uncomfortable, even though it's really quite cool. But it'll be worse when the sun comes out. Not that I'm going to complain. I am, of course, walking in the shadow of Blabheinn, which is this one here. It's not part of the Cuillin ridge, the Black Cuillin, which we might get a glimpse of when we get a bit higher. But it's made of the same coarse volcanic rock, gabbro and basalt and all that kind of thing, and which is why it's got that black colour to it, hence the Black Cuillin. These hills though, which are called the Red Hills, which lie just east of the Black Cuillin, in between them and Broadford, they are still volcanic in origin, and indeed they date from the same period of volcanic activity, sort of around 60 million years ago, when I've said before that these aren't the remnants of volcanoes necessarily, they're the remnants of big magma chamber underground that fed volcanic vents on the surface, and it's all since eroded away, and the solidified interior of that enormous pool of magma underground is what's left. It's all the Black Cuillin, Blabheinn, that's what they are. The remnants of the interior of the volcanoes that were once here. But the Red Hills date from that same time, but whereas that rock, which is just volcanic rock, magma that's cooled and solidified, these hills, they were actually kept at enormous heat and pressure underground much longer than all the volcanic stuff, all the gabbro and stuff was over there, and the heat and the pressure change it into something else and allow crystals to form, and big crystals too. The longer that you have rock under great heat and pressure, the bigger the crystals grow, and that's what produces granite, which is what all these rocks are here and what the Red Hills are made of, which is why they're called the Red Hills. In the same way that the Cairngorms, the proper name, the Mona Rua, the Red Hills, they're made of granite too, and everywhere you get granite, even though it doesn't look it now, I mean, it just looks as grey and brown and featureless as most Scottish hills do in flat light. But if you get towards the end of the day or sunrise, then hills like this and the Cairngorms do burn a vivid red, especially as the sun gets lower. So, the Red Hills. It's funny how you can have the same two groups of hills in the same area produced from the same period of volcanic activity, and yet they are so different in character. The Black Hills, the Black Cuillin, they've got these jagged, serrated ridges, and they haven't weathered subsequent erosion very well from the elements, the rain, the frost, the ice ages. Whereas the Red Hills, because the granite is much harder, actually weathers much better, which is why it's these very, very almost smooth outlines to the hills. Most of them are whalebacks like that, or they're quite conical, look like cones with enormous scree shoots, and they're completely different in character. It's funny, but we're blessed in this country, in Scotland, for having differences in geology and geomorphology, which is the study of the forces that sculpt the landscape other than lava and stuff like that, so things like floods, frost, glaciers. We've got so much variety in terms of both geology and geomorphology over such a small area. We're so lucky. Well, there is a semblance of a path now. There was one back at the beginning, vaguely. For the last 20 minutes has been nothing. Well, I haven't got sunshine and blue skies just yet. In fact, way over there, it's starting to snow. Actually, I'm starting to get snowed on a bit now, so hopefully, oh, it looks a bit grim now. Looks a bit grim over there. Hopefully it'll be short-lived. I mean, there's still blue sky up there. Come on. Well, I'm almost at the top, so I thought I may as well sit this one out behind this convenient handy boulder, which is pretty much the only thing I can sit behind around here. I've been doing this a lot recently, actually. I used to just plod ahead regardless in bad weather, but now, why bother? Just sit it out, have a sandwich, just wait. It'll be short-lived. I can see blue sky over there. Back on the move. May only be a little short of 600 meters, but it's still cold up here. My goodness! Just as soon as you sit still, it really does start to chill you. So on with a few layers. Got my hat at the ready because it's going to be a bit windier up there. But we're on the move, and it looks like maybe that's the last of the. I shouldn't say this, should I? Maybe that's the last of the showers coming through. Because it does look infinitely brighter now over there as this shower retreats. We'll see. Not far to go. Well, you've got to love it when forecast comes good, because just like that, in terms of a day on the hill, it's pretty much the blink of an eye. The weather has just passed over there, and look what we've been left with. I mean, it's quite stupendous. Can't get the smallest of glimpses of the Cuillin Ridge. You see over there. There we are. Still looking quite healthy in terms of snow cover at mid-March. But the views down the loch are just wonderful. I mean, there's Slate, the peninsula's coming down here. Strathaird goes this way. Elgol's, the road ends at the end of that's that way is where I'm going to go next once I go down. You can see, I don't know if the camera will pick it out, there's Egg is on the horizon, just over here, and the Rum Cuillin, you can see the Rum Cuillin there. Been very lucky this week in that what was forecast to happen on the days I've been hill walking, actually in the last 10 days or so, I've had a week in Sutherland as well before coming here. Been very lucky that the weather has done what the forecast is going to say it's going to do, i.e. setting out in very grim weather, and all you've got to go on is this forecast that someone's given you saying yes, it will clear. It doesn't always clear. Often you set out what you think is safe in the knowledge of a favourable forecast that's going to come good later in the day, and often it doesn't, because mountains are notoriously difficult to forecast the weather for, you can quite easily have blue skies there, but hanging over the Cuillin, murk. So it's difficult to forecast, and you just have to go on blind faith much of the time that you're going to get the goods. What's actually, like I said, never get over. I mean, I've been walking the hills so much, and I've had so many days where the weather has changed for the better. Even so, what's remarkable is how windy it was yesterday. I mean, it was insanely windy. And yet, just in the last 10 minutes, the wind has dropped, just as the mountain weather forecast said it would. Said it'd be very windy in the morning and would drop very, very quickly. And it has now. I mean, I've had to use my external, I've got a big fluffy external microphone on top of this thing that I've used all the way up because it's been gusting. But now that I'm actually stood up here, right on the top pretty much, there's not a breath of wind. The sun's out, I've got too many layers on now, I'm baking hot. I'm going to put sun cream on, I'll be burning soon. Oh, it's a beautiful spring day. Come out of nowhere, come out of the filth we had yesterday. What a day to be alive. Actually, I am seriously going to have to stop. Oh, God. I am too hot now with all these layers on, with the sun blazing down like that. What a lovely way to end on a beautifully shaped, a nice shapely grassy ridge. Isn't typically what you'd expect to find in this part of the world. Everything's so hideously rocky much of the time, you wouldn't think that you'd have a lovely airy grassy ridge like this. It's a lovely way to finish. Well, and there we are. Seemed to come quite quickly actually, didn't seem to take that long for such a fairly substantial ascent from down at the loch. But it is only small, I suppose, so when you have a nice steady gradient like that, it's, like I say, it's easy to switch off and just plod, and before you know it, you're there. That was really, really enjoyable. Of course, got the down to come yet, which is never quite as fun as going up in my mind, but I really enjoyed that. That was lovely. A really nice little hill, and it gives the most incredible views out to Blabheinn and beyond. Certainly, glimpses now are higher into the Black Cuillin, looking more white than black today. Well, over there's Beinn, the hill which overlooks Broadford, and then that's looking out all the way to the Skye Bridge, actually, all the way over there, and Loch Alsh. So that's looking back to the mainland over that way. Plockton is sort of over there, and deep hidden in those clouds is the Applecross Hills, and beyond that is Torridon. We're looking out to Scalpay, the island of Scalpay here, and Raasay is over there, and the rest of Skye sort of curls around up there, Portree. Just visible over there. Apparently this hill is actually not very often climbed. I mean, there is indications that there's been a path coming up. So there's obviously, clearly there's people come up here, and there's a big cairn here too, of course. But a hill like this one, like Beinn, it especially because it's on the coast and you ascend from sea level. I mean, you're up quite high above your surroundings anyway, but it's a hill that really puts forward the case well for smaller hills. It's nice to have that that vantage point of getting to something really high, the highest hill around, and looking down on all the other peaks around you. I mean, that is a wonderful thing in itself, but I don't think small hills should be dismissed entirely because they don't offer the most expansive view. certainly in this case, the view you get out to Blabheinn, Garvan, and beyond to the Cuillin Ridge, currently plastered in snow, and of course out this way to Benvironment, and all the way out to the mainland over there. I mean, it equals any view you'll get anywhere else. I mean, you do, when you're amongst hills, big hills, and you're actually lower down and you're looking out and you're looking up at them, I think sometimes it's almost a better situation to feel that you're in. I mean, you can feel the magnificence of a place perhaps more than you would if you were really up high. It's not always the case, but it is a case for not dismissing smaller hills, which I think does happen quite often. And this one, because it is all by itself, it doesn't adjoin any other hills. It's not like there's a ridge going over there or behind me. It is all by itself, so it does offer this 360-degree spacious view of everything that's around. It's wonderful, an amazing little hill.